Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast, and today I'm excited for you to meet Munira Zahabi. She is known as the Niche Navigator. She's an author, a consultant, a marketing strategist, and she helps entrepreneurs find their ideal clients and amplifying their brands using podcasting as a powerful visibility tool. She's the author of Invisible No More, Transforming Your Guest Appearances into Marketing Gold, as well as she shares her expertise when it comes to leveraging podcast guesting. But I know we're going to talk a little bit more today beyond that when it comes to connecting with people in general, even though, she might do it professionally when it comes to the right audiences for your podcast, learning how to network, how to have those conversations, how to storytell, how to be able to kind of show up in a certain way is going to help create so many opportunities in your life, so many connections. And I'm excited to dive in. I know we had a great pre-chat about this, Munira. So thank you so much for joining me today.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored.
So can you share a little bit more about your own personal story and journey into being the Niche Navigator?
So I started working in retail, and I worked in a school district, and I became a pharmacy technician, and I worked in a pharmacy, and I learned how to manage $2.7 million every year, managing medications and the budget for the medications. Mm-hmm. It wasn't an easy task because I worked in a county hospital, and you had to use the money because if you don't use it, then you didn't get the same amount or more. So you had to be very, very savvy with what you was doing. So I learned the business aspect of business in pharma. Mm-hmm. You could take that knowledge and move it anywhere. And then I was studying at the same time, putting my kids through college, went through college as well. And all of a sudden, I got an opportunity to work with one of the Fortune 500 companies. And I left my government job and I went there. Mm-hmm. 5 years later, I was laid off. And that was like a shock because I was doing so well in the company and I didn't know why they would let me go. But then I realized that, a job is a job is a job. I should do something else. Now, in the career, all of this time, I had met several different people. And I worked for a decade in the hospital pharmacy. We had a lot of people that were coming through. There were pharmacy technicians who were interns at the time. There were pharmacists, intern who were coming through the hospital learning stuff. So there were all these people coming through, and there was almost, if I sit down and count, I think 600 people, different semesters they came through, and they passed through me because I did all of their intake and, going out and, exit interviews and everything, because we were always looking for the best people to come and intern with us. And I realized that I shaped a lot of people's lives. Mm-hmm. And starting, when you talk to people there, you realize what their goals are, what their mindset is, what they want in life. Some people don't care. I had a person who worked in the pharmacy for almost 30 years. Mm-hmm. He was happy with the same task every day. And for me, that would be a very menial job, and I would be very, very bored because I wouldn't want to do the same things again, because once you learn something, I want to learn something more. And the mindset was I needed to grow. And he was like, I don't know why you're running after all this. Just be okay with what you have. And I'm like, No, I want to learn more. So in that time, I had shaped a lot of people's lives, and I realized I could do the same outside of my job. So I
Mm-hmm.
started talking to different people, and started asking them what they wanted out of life, where they were they
Mm-hmm.
happy with what they were doing, and could they take it to the next level. But many people want to take it to the next level, only they don't know how, or they
Mm-hmm.
don't have the means, or they just feel that there's going to be a magician appear someday and just give them, a fairy godmother will just give them everything, which we all know in real life that doesn't happen. So that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey.
Right. So the networking, when you're going through all, I think in life, we're always networking. We don't even realize it. We think it needs to be an event with business cards or that kind of thing. But I think any everyday conversation, meeting people, connecting other people, realizing who you have in common is all part of that networking that you were talking about, and it always makes an impact. I'm sure you don't even always realize how sometimes the simplest conversation, the simplest even compliment or gesture can probably have a big difference in somebody's life.
Yeah, you know how we meet people and we never realize that. And in the last 6 months, I've taken a job with a different agency, and I worked with people very closely. They come up to
Mm-hmm.
me, and I work with them. I give them what they want, but I'm curious about what makes them tick. So I always ask them questions. Somebody says, "Oh, I bought
Mm-hmm.
a new car," and I'm like, "Why?" Or somebody says, "I moved from some other state," and I'm thinking, why? Because I live in Chicago, and it's always cold, and it's like, what was I thinking? You're coming from California. So I always try to ask them why, and sometimes this comes
Mm-hmm.
out as funny. Some people don't like it. Some people are like, "Oh, you're very curious," and I'm like, "I just
Mm-hmm.
want to know why. If it's okay, if you don't want to share, that's okay. We'll just continue with business." But you want to continue. We want to make somebody feel warm and fuzzy when they leave,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
that's the main part of networking, right? It's like, even in your daily life, the person who's bagging your grocery, the person who is checking out your grocery, even if you just make them feel better about themselves, they feel
Mm-hmm.
good. And that's what Maya Angelou always said, people
Yes.
always feel how you make them, they remember how you make them feel.
Yes, I was just thinking the exact same quote. They don't care what you know, it's how you make them feel. And I love that you focus on that curiosity because I think sometimes we're so caught up in what we want to share, what we want to put out there without taking in and really not just listening, but really being genuinely invested in somebody else's story. So, storytelling, if I'm hearing you correctly, just as you're sharing this, isn't always about you sharing your own story. It's about pulling somebody else's story from them.
Right. And that's the thing, is like, some people, I get people who have lost their spouses, and the spouse was doing everything for them. And now they have to figure out what they are doing, what's the next step in life. Or somebody is trying to sell a car, and I've never done this before. Or you get somebody who is a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old, or even a 22-year-old who's never written a check before. And you say, okay, this is how you write it. This is what you
Mm-hmm.
say. And there are some people who don't know how to write even a check, or they don't know how to spell it. So then you help them and you say, would you be okay signing the check? And then I will write it for you, or I can write it for you and then you can sign it. So it's two different ways. But they have to feel comfortable about you doing such things for them. But when you
Mm-hmm.
start asking them questions, it's like when they share their story. People come to
Mm-hmm.
me, they have tissue bowl, wads and wads of tissues, and they're saying, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to my life. I used to do so many things, but now I can't remember stuff. Can you help me? And so all of those things play a very very significant part in our lives and stories, because we remember all of these things. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact is, how do you impact that person in your life?
Yeah. And I think that is really, like I said, the key from what you were saying, as far as when it comes to that networking and that connection part of it. And that's definitely always a huge part of your self-care, is having those, how you connect with others, coming from a place of curiosity, I think is really going to help draw out not just that superficial level stuff, but like you said, that deeper level that builds that trust, where you can find more of those Me Too moments and those connections. So if someone was listening and they're thinking, okay, I'm not really good at networking, I'm not maybe super outgoing, what would be one or two strategies you would give them to start to make those connections?
So networking in what sense? Are you going to a networking event or a party or something? So
Just
whatever.
even, yeah, just a party, a social situation where you don't necessarily know everybody and feel comfortable.
And so just go in there. You have to put in your A game. Make sure that you're smiling. Make sure that you make eyes contact. But you want to go in there with three things. You want to be sure how many people you want to go talk to. Because most people make the mistake about, I'm just going to go talk to everybody, give them my card so that I'm known. But nobody remembers you that way. If you just make a very, very straight note in your head that today I'm going to meet three people and I'm going to make sure that I'm very intentional about talking to them, then those are the three people that you identify and you talk to, and you make sure that they know a lot about you and you've pulled information from them. So that's the first thing. So be on your on your A game.
Smile, eye
Smile,
contact.
eye contact, smile, make sure that you are talking to only three. You can talk to several people, but
Right.
make sure you know these three people very intimately. I'm not saying asking them for their the
Personal.
first or nothing like that, but you want to know exactly what they do, how they do it, where they are located, get them their card. Some people are not going to give you everything, so then you move on to the next person, but you make sure that you count on in your fingers that you've made three impactful connections.
Okay.
Number three is, once you finish with that, you talk to everybody. Once you're done, you'll feel a little fuzzy around yourself, because I used to be very, very introverted and never could do this. But when I learned this strategy, I felt very good. So then you take those three strategies and then make sure you have their phone numbers and message them and said, it was really nice knowing you. Would you be okay about having a occasional messaging, or could I, let's contact each other and have a coffee, or have a cup of coffee over Zoom, have a e-Zoom coffee. So then you can do that too, because you just want to know more. Now, and then the other thing you also want to remember is, why is it that you want to talk to this person? What is your internal mindset saying? Are you an entrepreneur that are looking for leads? What is your purpose? So why? And if you're just there, just you don't have a business, you don't have anything, but you're just there to maybe make a friend, then that's a different purpose. So make sure that you find the people that who smile back at you, because those people who make eye contact with you and smile is infectious. If you're smiling, somebody's going to smile back at you. That's how you create relationships. I went to a event 7, 8 years ago, and there was this young lady who was standing on the corner. She had her suitcase and she was just smiling, and her smile was really good. And so I saw her and I said, "Hi." And she goes, "Hi." And said, "My name is Munira." She gave me hers, and I said, "I'm going to lunch. Would you like to join me?" And she goes, "Can I?" And I said, "Sure, come on with me." And we went together. Today we are good friends. She lives in Indiana. Sometimes we meet together. We've gone boating together with her husband. We've taken lunch. We've had a good time. And it's really fun when we just go out and just have fun and talk, even on the phone, or have a Zoom meeting once in a while. So that friendship, that first point where you just meet somebody and say hi, because everybody is feeling very, very apprehensive about how other persons are going to feel. Don't worry about other people. Feel about how you are feeling.
Right. And is this kind of what your book Invisible No More kind of dives into as well?
Invisible No More is more about podcasting.
Okay.
It talks about marketing yourself on a podcast for entrepreneurs. So that's so most people are looking for leads. Most people, are trying to figure out what's the next step in my marketing. But this is it's a marketing book. So it's not that. But I have a book called A Philosophy of Niche Principles.
Okay.
And the first chapter is networking.
Awesome. Awesome. So the links for those will be live in the show notes and everything like that. So whether you are a business owner who's looking for leads, a podcaster who's looking to get on shows, or just somebody who's looking to make a friend, definitely connect with Munira, take some of those strategies and just start implementing them. Start putting that kindness out there, that curiosity out there, that friendship out there, and you never know kind of what's going to get back. How can people connect with you, Munira? How can they find you?
The best way to find me, I'm everywhere on social media. Best way to find me is go to my webpage, thenichenavigator.com. And there's a contact me form there. Just put in there what you are, who you are, and why you're connecting with me. And I will reach out to you in the next 48 hours.
Awesome. And that link will be live in the show notes below. So thank you so much, Munira, for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Danielle. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger. As well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much and talk to you soon. Bye.